everyone, welcome back to another episode of Jazzy
and Sanya's Full Circle Podcast Show. Episode 6.
6, baby.
Yes,
you heard it.
Thank you for y'all's patience.
Yes.
And it's been a long time. I mean, everyone's asking me actually like, hey, are y'all still doing the podcast?
Yeah.
We've been pretty occupied because if y'all don't already know, Jazzy actually has her after hour podcast.
I have another podcast.
So
actually. Stay busy.
She's really productive.
But just so y'all know, even if we're not putting out content, we're always doing stuff behind the scenes.
We're always doing stuff.
Like we're working all the time.
Pre-production, planning.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly. So let's dive into the episode. So we're going to actually break the episodes into 2. So chapter 1 and chapter 2. So, and disclaimer, it's about relationships. And basically, we're not therapists, we're not counselors. And basically, we're not relationship experts. And so we're just going based on our experiences, right, Jazzy?
Yeah, our experiences.
Yeah.
Not even just our own experiences. We've known too many people that we are learning. We're learning from other people.
We learn from other people, yeah. From
other
the
people's
good,
failed
from the bad.
relationships.
Yeah, well, from the good and bad.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. So
we're going to dive right in.
We're going to dive
right into the video.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, we're going to basically give you a rundown of our experiences and relationships. Chapter 2 will be more
about singles, fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Absolutely.
So that's something cool that we kind of came up with. And I don't know if that's really, a platform that's out there already.
It's being discussed. It probably is, but either way, it's not discussed enough. But regardless.
Before I want to just let it out. I know it's been coined by Carol Dweck. So she's a Stanford University professor. So she basically coined that, fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And there's a lot of other industries like business that incorporate that, you know. So I was like, Jackson, I was like, why don't we incorporate that with the relationship? And like, how so?
How so, exactly.
And then we're like, oh, what about singles? All the podcast trends right now is like battle of the sexes,
right?
Men or
versus women.
Yeah, it's just we're not trying to go into that trend because it's really saturated, guys. So we did our due diligence. We're like thinking about how about we talk about the singles? Right. There's not enough about that.
Well, and it's also because we're single.
Yeah, exactly. So
it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. So we're setting you up for success. So,
for sure.
And at the same time, guys, we're also healing together. So we're a family, and
exactly. And this isn't just. I wanted to mention this. This isn't just for people who are single. It really isn't, right?
Oh no.
Like you learn,
even for people that are maybe married or long-term relationship, and we're gonna dive into that too, and what worked for us at the time, and what we learned from it, and how we can get better. And, life is about just getting better, and working at. We're all flawed people.
Absolutely.
As much as we're in denial.
I'm not flawed, Sanya. What are you talking about? I'm perfect. Just kidding. Some people have that mentality, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just society. Is it social status, social pressure? We gotta look the best and have the perfect.
Flaws are a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It's all. I really believe it's all about like just being open-minded. And taking that risk, really. So, all right. I know we can go.
We're going to dive
straight into chapter 1.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's go. All right.
Cheers to an amazing episode.
Amazing episode. Episode 6.
Episode 6.
Yes.
Look at our cute little cups. Stop playing with us. Okay. So, I'm going to just start off by asking you a question.
Okay.
Honestly, why do you think people rush into the next relationship when they just got out of a relationship? In other words, rebound, the terminology that people use. They don't even give themselves time to heal. They don't even give themselves time to process the breakup, let alone heal from the experience. Yeah. Why do you think they're so quick to do that versus just taking time to be single and to
so many factors, right? That goes into it. It's fear-based. You're hurt. You're in pain. A lot of times, like if you're more codependent, you need somebody. I gotta have someone, you know, and regardless where they're at, you know.
Is it because they feel like they need to have someone? Or do you think they feel like they need to have that one person that's all they knew for X amount of time?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think they might have been trained into that toxic relationship to think like, I have to be in this.
Yeah.
Because that same passion that you feel that you need to be with somebody else, you could feel that within yourself and feel like, I don't need anybody.
That's so true.
Got me, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, everyone sees life different ways, you know. So either you're black and white, you're in the gray. So a lot of times, like for me, for example, like I want to heal first before I jump into something new. You know?
When you don't heal,
but when you don't heal,
what are you bringing into your next rebound relationship?
Yeah.
And why do we continue that toxic cycle?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know why I just keep going through the same thing. Or maybe you're dating the same person in a different body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You hear that.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're not healed or you're still hurt and you're in pain, I mean, we all know hurt people, right? So, and that's so true because you haven't fully healed. You just jumped into the next person and then expecting, you know, that to start all over again. And I think we just brush everything under the rug. You know, we are in denial. And I always bring that up. We're in denial. So that means that we don't want to get to the root of it. You know,
but why do they, that terminology that people, or what is that saying? Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I mean is they're wanting to be saved. Like, oh, if I get in here, this person's going to bring me the love that I lacked. Or maybe that person's going to fix my problems.
Right.
I mean, because I've been there where I'm like, oh.
I think we all been there, you know? And I mean, I remember in my 20s, that was the only time I rebound, you know? We say rebound. We all done it. But we also know the consequences, right? So over time, you know, that's why I realized.
We don't. What are the consequences?
Oh, the consequences are...
For those who are like, what? Maybe someone hasn't even been in a relationship yet. Who knows? Maybe
maybe it's both ends. Like they never got into rebound before. So.
Oh, but you know what? I'm glad I mentioned that because you don't necessarily have to be in a messed up relationship or a toxic relationship. Say you never dated anybody, but you've gone through a lot of... You get where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Maybe your relationship with your family and your mom is just trash. Maybe it's horrible. And regardless, you're bringing that baggage into your future relationship. Yes. Regardless, you got to heal yourself.
Because you're still bleeding.
What do you see?
Okay. I also feel like that... Again, you need that comfort, security, that blanket, that instant security, you know, and it's so complex, Jazzy. I mean, think about it. When you break up, you're wanting the next person, but then you got the other person like, you know what, I'm not ready to jump into the next relationship, but you got someone else that wants to be with you.
Oh my goodness. I literally know someone that's like dear to my heart that's in that situation right now. And if you're watching this, you know who I'm talking about. Where they're like basically in a relationship, but they're not in a relationship. You know what I'm talking about? It's like there's no label, but come on, y'all are basically in a relationship. But one person's like all in. Like all you gotta do is say the word, where do I sign?
Exactly.
And the other person's like, I don't want that label because of their fears. That's what it is. Their fears of whatever they feel like might get in the way of the things that they're trying to accomplish in life. Or maybe they think they're going to repeat the same cycle. And they, again, definitely. I think that is fear-based because they haven't fully healed.
They haven't fully healed, Well, and again, they're still bleeding. And the thing is, they're going to bleed on that person. You know, as much as you like that person, as much as you want to move forward, and you're just going to take it all that, you're going to bring that back into the new relationship. Right. What if it's on a person that has nothing to do with that, you know, and they're good and they're wanting to grow with you and they want a future with you. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. No, I hear you. And also, I mean...
It's complicated.
It is very complicated. You know? But I just feel like it's a recipe for disaster because, and I'm not speaking for everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, Sanya, that I feel like 90% chance of those who jump straight into the next relationship, they usually fail. I mean, it's rare that...
No, they do.
Like,
You're
I know
right.
someone who was engaged with somebody that got cheated on. That's traumatic. You can imagine. Their mother passed away. Okay?
Yeah.
They're broken, going through different versions of traumatic situations, all in one.
Right.
You can imagine what that does to your mind, body, and soul. And then, boom, straight into another relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
It's wild. It's wild because I'm like, how do you heal? How do you heal in general? Like,
you don't. You really don't. You're not really healing.
Because they think that person's going to help them through their healing journey.
Exactly. And I've been through that scenario. I remember going back to my 20s.
Yeah.
Where, rebound, and then one party is hurting, and then throughout time, long story short, healed up, getting better physically, more attractive, more confident. They went from here to here, and then next thing you know it, they dropped the other guy or the other girl.
Because they're not on their level anymore.
They're not even level anymore.
Wow.
So
that happens a lot.
That happens
and vice versa. There's a lot of, like you said, like, there's people who will get in shape when that person leaves them. It's like, you know what? I'm going to show you. Go lose 100 pounds, get like looking like a whole baddie, and then they get all this attention. Funny story. I don't remember who it was, and it doesn't really matter because it's the story that I'm just going to address. So long story short, this man married this woman. Gorgeous, loved her for the way she was.
Yeah.
I don't know why this happens, but when you get comfortable in relationships, not everybody, but y'all gain weight together. When you're like in a happy stage, and
that's true love right there.
True love.
When you really love someone, you let everything go.
you everything's like everything. We're going everywhere to eat. We're baking with each other. We're cooking for each other. We're feeding each other.
Been there,
Okay, and so she gained 150 pounds on top of that.
Okay.
And he was a fit guy. I think he was even like a fitness trainer. You get my point. Fast forward, he was married to her. He should have told her, like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. As your man, I'm going to be open and honest with you. I'm not the person to want to go cheat. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not even attracted to you the way that I was when I married you. Let's work on this together. She never wanted to put in the effort. He eventually divorced her. Okay? She went and lost 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay?
Really? Okay.
They still kind of kept somewhat in contact, even though they were divorced. I know that sounds toxic, but it happens. He did whatever he could to get back with her.
Really?
They remarried.
What?
They remarried. Check this out. And then they get back together. They're just going through that honeymoon happy stage. She puts the 150 pounds on back again, Sanya.
No.
True story. And then he was like, okay, this isn't a me problem. This isn't, like, there's a deeper issue here, you know? And what that showed me when I listened to that story, because he ended up divorcing her again.
Okay.
To kind of cut to the chase. It was just wild.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like a divorce is cheap, or expensive, not cheap. Divorce is not cheap. So he loved her enough to tell her, work on yourself. Let's do this, as a power couple, because I know what it feels like to be in that situation.
Yeah.
And then for it to go south.
Yeah.
And instead of cheating on her, he just left her. He's like, I'm not attracted to you physically. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into that later. Like, why does it matter so much about why you're attracted to a certain person or not? Or,
I will give this to him.
Yeah.
The fact that he communicate that. A lot of men don't communicate that. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you know, hey, I'm always about fitness and health. And I married you for, who you were when I met you.
But that's a good point. So when you marry someone, are you only marrying them for who they are right now? Because here's what's wild about that.
Yeah.
If you look at the big picture, we're going to change in 5, 10, 15, 20. Like, there's so many new versions of ourselves. We're going to age gracefully.
Yeah.
We might gain weight. We might not gain weight. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I think people don't put that into consideration when they put in that commitment. It's not just a boyfriend and girlfriend moment. It's just a lifelong journey with somebody.
Well, it also sounds like there was a little miscommunication too. So the expectations they weren't on the same page. So his expectation was like, hey, we're going to stay fit. We're going to be,
But he was just assuming that because
he was assuming. So she's like, I love you. And regardless.
and when he met her, she was fit because she was trying to find a man. Isn't that interesting? Like they
really?
want to look the part, so they are attracting people.
Okay.
But then they get comfortable and they're like, oh, you're not going to leave me. You love me for me.
So
you
guys,
know?
what do you think in that scenario? Write in the comments. So what do you think? Was he in the wrong? Or she was she in the wrong too? So what can you add to that?
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, I feel like in any circumstances, and this I'm speaking from my own experience, people aren't asking the right questions in the dating stage. People think like, oh, that's doing too much, or why would I ask you if you want kids right now? We're barely dating. Why would I want to know what your religious preferences are, or you know, all the
let me ask you that. Alluding to that. Why do you think a lot of people, when they get into that beginning stages of dating, why do they avoid the tough questions? You know,
because they think they're going to make that person run off. They're going to scare that person away. And here's the truth: if you make them run off, they weren't meant to be with you in the first place. You might as well nip it in the bud now than 2 years into your marriage when you realize. Scratching my head moment. We probably should have talked about this before, because for me, I'm talking about from my own experience. I've dated, or not even just dated, I've been in relationships where I was into fitness. I love taking care of my mind, body, and soul. I was very fit. I worked out, and they were attracted to that. They loved that. And I brought that into the relationship, and they were the complete opposite. They didn't, they would actually find ways to get me not to work out, or maybe they would, maybe I would be like in my workout outfit. Here's a true story.
I've been there.
I'm in my workout outfit. I'm lit. I'm ready to go. I'm like getting my zone. And then they order a box of pizza and they're like, really? Do you want to go work out, or do you want to come lay on the couch and eat pizza and watch a movie with me? Do you get me? I want someone to push me and be like, no, you better go get it in. When you're done working out, maybe you can have a couple slices of pizza and let's reward you for a good workout or something. And this happened time and time again, where it became an issue. Like I would have anxiety if I wanted to work out. They would make me feel insecure. Why are you feeling the need to work out? Like, you look good the way that you are. Or who are you really trying to impress? Or why are you trying to go into the gym? Are you seeking validation from another man?
Okay.
So, you get me? And I'm like, it would cause so many arguments, Sanya.
So does that sound like, that sounds like insecure
but
person,
I never talked about it dating. When I dated, I wasn't like, say we're dating, I'm like, hey, this is my lifestyle. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't just something that I wake up one day, it's like, do I feel like it? I do it when I don't feel like it. Is this something that you can compromise with? Is this something that you're going to feel like that would be fitting to your lifestyle? If not, will I motivate you? Maybe we could do this together.
Those are good questions.
You know what I'm saying? And I just avoided that because I was like, I just assumed. That's the issue. We are assuming too much.
We make assumptions, and we know what that means. You know, you make a ass out of you and me. So
100%.
we all do it. We definitely make assumptions. So a lot of it is just clarifying the communication.
Correct.
And laying out the expectations. Like you were saying earlier, like, hey, what's your religion? You know, hey, do you want to have kids? Some people don't want kids. Some people do. Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Right. And if you do want kids, right, here's the thing. Hey, what's your religion? Do you want your kids to become become that?
Have you been in that? Or maybe you heard about that?
I've been through some.
Where it's like, I want kids, but my kids is going to grow up in this religion. And then that becomes a conflict.
It does become a conflict. It can be a deal breaker, you know.
Right.
So, but I remember I was dating someone a decade ago, and their friend they got married. Long story short, here's another one. The mom, the daughter, and obviously the stepfather, and he's more about discipline, but she's not. But the daughter is having a fit and getting away with a lot of things. And so it hit them right away. You know, like, no, I don't discipline my daughter. And he believes in that because he feels like she's out of control. And so it caused chaos immediately. I mean, they got married. I mean, this is like just only a couple months after their marriage, you know, or their wedding.
You know what this causes, though? What? Resentment towards a person that you shouldn't even be resenting, because you should know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes.
It seems simple, right? But but the average person doesn't go through the proper steps, speaking for ourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is why we're single now. Nothing against our experiences, but like we've talked about before, we and we learn from every failed relationship. If you're not learning from them, then you're not looking at the big picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're never the one to victim. We're not a victim. We're not going to blame you for X, Y, Z. It does take two to tango.
Yeah.
I've done wrong. You've done wrong. But they've done wrong.
Yeah.
It just wasn't we didn't mesh,
right.
Properly or correctly. However, to make a long-lasting, successful relationship.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's just clarifying communications, expectations. I mean, there's a whole list, right? So we talked about like, hey, our fitness, is that important? And some people, it might be like for me, and maybe I'm diving too early, is an outlet is really very important to me than physical. So, and we'll dive into that later before we go into that. So anyway.
So I'm just going to throw another question at you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like through everything we're talking about right now, do you feel like with the lack of communication, not asking the proper questions, feeling like you're almost resenting that person, do you feel like those are the recipes for why people cheat? Or
interesting.
I know that's a curveball, but
what do y'all think? Do y'all think that's a recipe for cheating?
Yeah.
Put it in the comments. What Jazzy just said, is that a recipe?
Do you feel like everything that we talked about so far
being unfaithful
and is an excuse? I know cheating is never a good thing, of course, but I was just curious, like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Oof.
It's kind of a hard one, right?
Yeah, it's really hard. I know cheating can be so many variables. So, didn't you have a story about someone that?
Okay, so the story that I was, trying to get into is a guy reached out to me. I'm gonna keep this person anonymous, obviously, but was like, if I've cheated, should I, in my future relationships or even in the dating stage, honestly, should I tell the woman I've cheated?
Ooh.
Like, and this goes for both, like
both ways.
Spitting, but like both ways, vice versa. Women, I'm curious, but we're just going to talk about his experience because that's what we were kind of talking about the other day. And he wanted to know from a woman's perspective. Yeah. That's why he reached out. But in other words, he was just like, if I've done something bad, and this happened like 10 years prior to him talking to me. But he's like, every time I've gone to a relationship or even dated somebody and was just flat out honest with them, they would run away, or they would always think like, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Ooh, okay. All right.
And how do y'all feel about that? Let me just pause real quick. Is once a cheater, always a cheater? Comment below. Tell us.
Well, it depends on the scenario, and I know what y'all are thinking. Hey, no, Sanya, once a cheater is always a cheater. And it kind of hit me in a little bit because I can kind of relate to that guy in a way. So what if that person only cheated one time, but regret it?
So that's what he mentioned. He said 10 years ago, this happened. So basically he was in his teens.
Yeah, okay.
And then he became an adult. His whole life changed, but he doesn't want to act like that never happened. I guess, when you feel like that, it's kind of weighing over your shoulders. He wants to live his life through just purity and honesty. Okay. And he feels like if he clears the air, there's nothing to hide.
When you tell a woman that,
I know, because like when he told me, I was like, if a guy told me that,
it will be in the back of your mind, even just one time. But the thing is, there's one thing, this scenario, we can put it in other scenarios. Would you prefer, on the comments, would you prefer someone that's constantly cheating, or that person only cheated one time and regret it? I mean, which one would you choose?
Obviously, is there an option for no cheating?
Yeah.
I want that one.
Or no matter what, a cheater is always a cheater. So, but I mean, it sounds like he felt really bad. He made did he detail what made him stop cheating, or?
And the only reason why he said he cheated was because, and it sounds so wild that a lot of people might know someone that went through this, but he claimed, of course I don't know his whole life story, but he claimed the reason why he even cheated was because she cheated on him. And a lot of people do that. It's like, I'm going to get you back, which honestly, I don't think it takes two. I think if somebody makes a bad decision like that, and you want to go, you're just as bad. Yeah. You can't even point the finger anymore. You can't
stoop to their level.
You can't.
You might as well just cut it off.
Cut it. Yeah. And because
cut your losses.
At that point, it's toxic. You can't
You can't build from that. You can't come back from that.
You can't come back from that.
Yeah.
So that's to answer your question. That's where that kind of happened as far as that goes.
That was interesting.
So he was just like, he just wanted to know. He goes, look, as a woman, like, should I just keep this to, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I get it. And I was like.
But the thing is that is tough because what if he doesn't want to bring it up? You know?
Well, because
and
it's
then
backfired.
it can come back, right? It can come back later and haunt him. You know, and maybe he's
say he doesn't say anything, and years later, somehow that person finds out. Who knows if that would happen? But you never know,
right?
And that's the anxiety.
It's a small world.
I think that's the anxiety he was trying to avoid. Is I'd rather you know from me than you to find out from someone else, kind of a thing.
Well, if say hypothetically, if he was to be honest and say, hey, you know, this happened, or maybe he didn't say it, and he waited for her to ask, hey, have you ever cheated on someone? Would have been better for him not to say it. Because that would cause, it will mess her up. Or if he does say it, it's like, dang if I do, dang if I don't.
Yeah, I know.
That's really, that's so sticky.
Sticky.
Because if he tells her, and it's going to be in the back of her mind, and she's just going to always assume he's always cheating or he's doing something.
And I know someone who was dating somebody. Yeah. She, you know, I'm not going to name drop anybody because it's not my business to do that, but it stood out to me, and it related to this relationship topic. So she was with someone for 11 years. Yeah. She caught him cheating. Okay. She divorced him. Okay. She, 2 years, 3 years later, started dating again. Okay. When doing so, the guy that she started dating, she fell in love with him. Yeah. He opened up to her too and said, I cheated on my ex because he's like, but she cheated on me. So it was a get back situation. Yeah. And this is a different situation that I just talked about. And she was conflicted. Yeah. She's like, what do I do? I'm like literally in love with you. And she told him, she's like, look, I was with someone for 11 years and honestly, it destroyed me. He cheated on me. How can I trust you? You're telling me. And he's like, look, and this is true and false. I guess y'all can tell me your opinion. You can tell me your opinion, but he's like, I'm not getting any younger. And isn't that interesting? As I don't want to just say men, but we're talking about men. As men get older, they start to realize their time is, their clock is slowing down a little bit. They're aging a little bit. And maybe they've gone through their little fun stage, so to speak. They've
out of their system.
You know, they got that out of their system. So now they're like, okay, look, I'm actually really ready to find someone like stable, someone who saw I could build a life with. And that's kind of where they were at. And like they're a beautiful family, married, have kids now, and you know. Successful so far, but who's to say behind the scenes that doesn't cause problems here and there? I don't know. I don't know their story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we don't know the details.
We don't know, and I don't need to. But it's just something that you know.
Yeah, it's just going to lead to assumption. What we were saying earlier.
And that's that's not really what we're doing here.
Yeah. So Jazzy, why do you think couples or you know wherever they're at? Why do you think one party doesn't want to grow, but the other does? And how does that affect the relationship?
Wow, I've been in that situation, so I take a deep breath. Just deep breath. I think it's like a safe place. I think that person who doesn't want to grow, they're comfortable being where they're at. They're more fearful of the change or you know, the dynamic of what they're used to. It's shifting in any way. It can be intimidating, can bring someone anxiety. I know for me, I was in a relationship where that person was so used to me being one way for so many years. And I had so many goals and ambitions. Like, I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to get my own YouTube channel. I want to do this. And that person was so fearful. Didn't want me to do anything. Didn't want me to go. Didn't want me to do absolutely anything. Like, why would you do that? Give me a book of reasons why that wouldn't fit our lifestyle, why it wouldn't complement our relationship. And then it made me insecure. And it made me feel like maybe I shouldn't do those things. But aside from that, I also think that it's because they don't want you to outgrow them. They're intimidated by your goals and ambitions. They want you to stick like to their level.
Stay on their level.
Stay on their level. Yeah. So that way you don't
make them look bad. And well, there can be a lot of other things. Their insecurity. Their insecurities. And I've been through that situation in quite a few in my past. Yeah. And when you know me, I'm very ambitious. And every time I told this person, hey, I wanted to do this. This is my goal. Why you want to do that? and then there's 100 questions, and then you feel like you're not getting the support that you need or
That's
want.
what it is.
And that hurts because you love this person, you want to move on.
It slows you down.
And it slows you down, and you're confused, you're stuck. You feel like you're stuck in the mud or stuck in the web. And so it's a lot with fear-based and insecurity, and I have so many stories. I don't want to dive into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times also, how is the fear of success, and they also, I feel like they fear that you might find someone better.
Oh, yeah. So when I was overweight, the person I was in a relationship, they wanted me to stay overweight.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I was even attempting to lose the weight was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Who are you trying to impress? And it's like you. I'm trying to impress you. Not even just you. I want to look at myself in the mirror and feel confident. It's not even about anybody else. I want to be confident within myself. And that's all it was. It was intimidation. It was insecurity of like, you're going to attract someone else and then you're not going to like me anymore. But what's wild to me, I think the most attractive thing is being able to support that person into getting and helping them reach the level of success that they want to, because that's very attractive. If you're rooting me on, that's actually so sexy. If you're trying to get me to where I'm going and you're going to support me, what can I do for you, baby? What can I do for you, love? Show me, tell me I'm here. I'm going to support you. I'm going to, praise you, whatever, all the things. And when it's the complete opposite, it will start to build that resentment. Like, like,
and you start to fall apart.
Why am I even here the whole night, And that's a recipe for disaster. I was there. It was not okay.
I've been through that a few times. I mean, they would definitely try to convince me or slow me down or stop me from working on my project. There was times where I'm like, hey, I need to step away. I need to work on this project. So they'll either make some excuse like, oh, you're going to see someone. Oh, you're cheating on me. Or they'll just...
I've been there.
They'll be dramatic about it. I was like, wait.
I've been there. Where
I'm just going to do...
We were talking about this, where we're like literally taking screenshots of like our location, where we're at, who we're with, because that person was so fearful of us cheating or doing something that we're not saying that we're doing. And we're literally doing what we're saying we're doing. It's just like... super toxic, super unhealthy.
And when they falsely accuse you and start putting, all this, false accusation, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
And they usually say, I've been in this situation where the person that's usually accusing you is what?
Yeah, most likely doing the same. Well, not even the same. Not the same. They're doing the cheating or the flirting.
They're like, you're cheating. You're a hoe. You're a slut. You're out here. And it's like, why are you even saying all these things? And you find out later they're the ones cheating.
It's crazy.
Make sense.
Make it make sense. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. You can't make sense out of that anyway. But
So moving along, we talked about the thief of joy. The comparison is a thief of joy.
Of all joy.
So, and that can go in so many ways, right?
Yeah, explain that.
So, when you're in a relationship, you're always comparing yourself to other people.
Or even to the person. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Like you're, in a weird way, even if we haven't experienced it, or if we have, or you have, or haven't, a lot of people are trying to like outdo their partner. And it's like, it's a team effort. Like,
with your partner? What?
Like, you're doing this, so I'm going to go do that better. I get you can motivate each other. You want to be better and all that, but like,
do you think because two partners have a strong like alpha energy?
Yes,
and that can be part of it too.
That's true. Like, because two masculine energies. Well,
not just too masculine. Maybe it is. Let's just say they are. Yeah. And that just, again, a recipe for disaster because you're trying to outdo that person and you're trying to put that person down. You're trying to beat that person. Right. And you're trying to outsmart that person. Whereas, you're supposed to build that person up. And, it's a partnership. It's a team effort.
Exactly.
I think partnership is all about team and being supportive of one another.
Because how do you feel when the woman's making more than the man? Because because they're like, you talk about how you feel like you're trying to one up somebody. Not saying that the woman's trying to outdo you financially, which I'm sure some of them do just for competitive reasons. But I don't know. Like, how do you feel about that? Because there's a lot of men that would say, hey, do your thing, little mama. You want to go make bread and go be a billionaire, millionaire, like, and you choose me, like, I'm going to support that. I might not make as much as you because I feel like nowadays women are thriving and financially making money. But like, I feel like because they're trying to go find someone who's making as much as they are, they're failing and finding the right person. For me, I'm not on the hunt to find someone, the richest man, like, oh, you better check up all these boxes. You better wine and dine me with all the riches and, you know, the whole nine.
Yeah. Make 6 figures, be 6 feet tall and minimum 6.
No, yee-hoo.
Yeah. So.
But like another thing is like, because of that changes. You could be a billionaire and lose all of it tomorrow. Like,
you can lose all of it.
You can lose all of it. And speaking of money, because we were talking about this, it's like when it comes to, you know, like the yin and yang as far as like relationships go, the balance of like, you know, the relationships is like,
is it good to have the same quality?
Yeah, like if you're super, 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 super good financially and I suck at finances, well, there's a nice little balance there because you can teach me something that I might not know. But if we both suck at finances, what's going to happen? We're going to go in debt. We're going to max out our credit cards. We're probably going to lose our house. Lose money. Like,
you're going to go broke. Eventually you are broke.
And then it's like,
you're going to go broke together.
Or I'm overweight and you're overweight. No. And I'm not hating on those who are. I'm just saying, like, I want that fine balance. Like, hey, bring the best out of me. Maybe you can give me some health tips. Help me along my health journey.
I've been there,
you know?
in terms of the weight thing. Like, I've been to, in my past relationship, like, I never discriminate. So, and they lost a lot of weight.
But because you weren't like, ew, you're discussing your fat.
I never like said,
you motivated them in the most...
it was more of like, well, I was really living a lifestyle where it's wellness, fitness, and just a healthy lifestyle, nutrition, the whole works.
The whole works,
because when you show you're motivating your partner,
you don't even have to tell
your partner wants to get better, you know. So does that make sense?
You're getting up. You're going for a walk. You're going for a run. You're going to work. You come back. You're going to hit the gym. You might do some yoga and some stretching. And they're like sitting on their ass all day. They're like, you know, I'm probably going to take note of something you're doing. I'm probably, you know.
Yeah, in my past relationship, everyone that I dated, I had my first one lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
And she's never lost that much in her whole life. And again, another one lost 40 pounds. And then what it led to, unfortunately, I mean, they got a lot more, they got a lot of attention. So, and plus, this is like, one of it was like in my 20s, you know, and she lost 30 pounds. And so, and next thing you know, she's getting attention from all guys. And so, unfortunately, we end up breaking up. And unfortunately,
you know what that says? Those type of women, and I'm not speaking for everyone, they're not used to certain type of attention. They don't even know what to do with themselves. Like, I'm not going to name drop anybody, but I know somebody who I helped, this was years ago, lose a significant amount of weight. And then they became a stripper. And I'm like, hold on, put your heels up. Let's go have a Bible study. I'm making a joke out of it. But I'm just like, no, like that wasn't my intention, was to help you go find the confidence to go do something like that. When you find that confidence with yourself, it's, to me, the most attractive thing is to bring that same inspiring motivation that someone gave into you or brought to your life, bring that to someone else. That's how it's like the gift that keeps on giving. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Instead of finding a way, like you said, you go get your boobs done, and it's like all of a sudden you're like your nipples. All of a sudden, everywhere you go, your nipples damn near about to pop out. It's like, okay, we get it. You got a boob job. Like, calm down. They're not used to that type of attention. You know what I'm saying? I think the most attractive thing in a man and a woman is when you can carry yourself in a sophisticated, mature way, whether it's the way you dress, the way you don't have to show all your goods. There's a way to look sophisticated and sexy without overdoing it.
I think we're in a world where everyone's trying so hard. Everyone's competing. There's other women competing with other women. They're all the time. They're doing the same thing.
I was there. I've been there.
I mean, I'm trying to think, are guys competing with other guys?
Oh, they are. They're not talking about it.
Yeah, they don't talk about it. They keep it to themselves, because if they talk about it, they're going to be called different names.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I got to go up on my weight because
I need to get
homies over here. Like,
they're comparing their size.
They're in the gym, like out trying to out, or like, ooh, we talked about this before, where you were dating somebody. Fast forward the other men are in the equation, and because they see you, they're intimidated by you, and they give you this firm like you're like, you know, the bro handshake, and then and they like damn near break your fingers, and you're like,
so really? I'm glad you brought that up. I almost forgot about that.
Come on.
It's when other men give other men a
firm, overly
aggressive,
there you go, aggressive
handshake, it shows a lot of their insecurities.
So
they're intimidated. They're trying to size them.
Yeah, trying to size you up.
I tell this to all my female friends. It's like, hey, I'm not sure about your new guy because he tried to give me a death grip, and I have a strong grip alone. Right. So that's why I try not to give people a firm, because I don't know my strengths sometimes too. So at the same time, like, it's just not good when men like that. It shows a lot about them. I already know a lot about them. So they have a lot of inner work, you know. So it's just they need to beat their chest and be macho.
Not even that. And it goes for when men and women, but we're talking about men right now. So when men, they're like, ugh. I mean, I'm talking like, it's like they're on steroids,
or they're juicing.
Tomato. Whether they're on that or not, they're swole, they're big, they're you know, they're bulking up, they're doing all the things. They look in shape, top tier. But their mental, spiritual, their inner work isn't reflecting. There's nothing about that that's reflecting. None of that's reflecting in a positive way. Like, it's like you're focusing so much on your outer shell. You spend 90% of your day in the gym. But where's that same effort on your spiritual work, your inner healing from your traumas? Because we all have traumas from childhood, whether we want to believe it or not. It's true. Bad toxic relationships you get out of, and like, I understand that it could be therapeutic. I've been there where it's an outlet to go work out, but you gotta go deeper. You know what I'm saying?
It's deeper. And it also stems from we all have childhood wounds. I think that's really the true root cause to our dysfunctional, you know, we're all dysfunctional. Right. We're all flawed, like we said earlier. And we just brush it under the carpet. And guess what? It piles up. And next thing you know, it just, you know, they're a ticking time bomb, or you're bleeding on that person.
Ticking time bomb.
Like what we were saying earlier, right? So that's why it's really vital to do the inner work. And it's not easy. I get it. Man, I
know it's a soft topic, is how people like to dress it up, as far as like the healing or therapy, or like for women, but like for a man, like how do you heal that for a man? You know what I'm saying?
That's really,
so that way when you get into your next relationship, you know, because some men are watching, they're like, that's cool, but how do I heal so I can be successful in my next relationship, you know?
I think taking small steps, you know, every man is different. Some men don't think about that kind of stuff. They move on. But let alone,
but they think it's weak, yo.
Yeah, it's a weak mindset kind of situation. So it's not, you know, a man shouldn't, you know, talk about those feelings or try to get better and in that kind of sense. It's in denial regardless. Right. And it goes back again. They end up becoming a ticking time bomb. Again, it's all about your emotional intelligence. And it's just not healthy overall, because I've seen it in people where when you hold that too long and too much, I've seen people have heart attacks, mini stroke, and a full-blown stroke. Whoa. You know, just from holding that in and just brushing that. Oh man. And so when you try to confront that, you know, it goes in both parties too. So it's harder when you put a mirror in front of someone. They don't like to see what they're looking at. So, and that's why they're in denial, and we want to help that person. And for me, being in relationships, it was really challenging as a woman to try to point out the things that the man is showing me, the negative stuff, like the things that they don't want to hear. It was really challenging, because it was always like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to degrade me. You're trying to make me feel less than. You're trying to... And it's like, no, I'm not. I want to help you. I don't even think you see the things that you're saying or that you're doing or how you're acting. I wish I could just put a mirror in front of you, and you know what I'm saying? Right. And it became really hard. Like big problems in our relationship because our communication was so weak, you know? And I know someone in particular, not to mention any names. And so this person had everything The whole work, the whole package deal. Great career, great finance, great looking person, a great woman. Well, they were together. So he had everything you can imagine. I mean, if you were to see him, they're like, oh, wow, he's
like picture perfect.
yeah,
type of situation.
exactly. Every girl, woman would flock to him, you know. But the thing is, he had a lot of under the hood. It was not looking good, you know. Works out, you know. I mean, constantly working out, and has a trainer, you know. But at the same time, not mentally there.
Yeah.
And this person just treats people like crap.
And it just people, was it literally everybody?
Everyone and his friends.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize what he was doing.
No.
He was doing I mean, this guy is good looking. I mean.
And I'm just curious,
this
crazy. Person, when they're that angry towards everybody, they're obviously miserable within, right? Obviously. From your experience, how did that person cope with it? And it probably wasn't a healthy coping system.
Well,
were they
it was
alcoholic, drug addict. Like,
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people choose either substance. And we're going to go into the chapter 2. So is basically they go through negative recourse. So and it's either drugs or alcohol. So, and obviously this person chose alcohol. And he was just drowning himself in alcohol. He was on the road to ruin, basically. Does that make sense?
So it's like, I'm miserable, you're going to be miserable with me.
Yeah.
Like you said, hurt people, and like, it's just like.
And no matter what we would tell him, we care about this guy. And he has a lot of potential. And he had so much that he built. He could have lost everything. I mean, like drinking and driving intoxicated. And I was like,
or like say he's at a bar and like starting a fight or something like that, and like
I don't know,
maybe
he started some, it wasn't frequent like some other people I've known too. So but at the same time, that affected his relationship. So and that led to making that person feel bad. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, man, if he's making me feel like crap, imagine that. His girl living with him, you know, and having to deal with that 24/7.
I know.
You know, and I've seen it, where, and again, they have a full package deal, everything. Right. And next thing you know it, that girl left him.
But it's not even, but I think I remember this story. So I don't think it was just, you know, before you know it.
Yeah.
I think this person gave him like 10 chances. Am I wrong?
No, 1,000,000 chances.
Okay, 1,000,000 chances.
1,000,000 chances.
1,000,000, like, and then you started to get around more, and you're like, man, because you know you don't want to you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Right. You want to be like,
because I only heard one side, and then after a while I go, you know what? It's not her.
Wait a second.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just it's crazy, and I already know. You know, it's all from the childhood wounds. And I tried I tried effortlessly trying to help the person in so many ways. I mean, it was just one ear out the other. Sometimes they would resonate, sometimes, and then they just fall back into doing the same thing. So and
it just goes to show you, you obviously can only do so much.
You can only do so much. You can, you know, we heard that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse
them drink.
You can't make it drink.
Yeah,
you can't.
It's
so,
true.
And sometimes you just gotta let people be.
Yeah.
You know, and we can learn from one another. And I'm so grateful that I have no animosity.
Right.
You know,
and you just pray for someone like that, because it's like, if he doesn't heal and do the work, he's going to go into another relationship and bring all of that baggage, you know?
I've learned so much from that person, to be quite honest, and it's made me a better man. I was like, what not to do, you know?
Like, seriously, though. Yeah. Because I've seen it too. Like, we can joke around all day, but
it goes to show.
If you weren't around those experiences, you didn't experience that yourself, obviously, but you saw it for years. Yes. It wasn't just like, all of a sudden, there's this. It just
came out of nowhere, and this is new.
No, you were like behind the scenes for years.
Yes, yes. And it was just crazy. So we were talking about, what if someone had the same, you know, qualities, right? And is that good or is it bad? I mean, it got to the point. I remember we had a conversation like, oh gosh, it was like 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, and he's much older. But she's way younger. So fast forward, he was venting to me saying, you know what? She needs to be a leader. She needs to be this and that. I go, what? Are you serious, dude? And we were just getting done with our workouts. And he's like, why would you want that? You know, like, you should be the leader. You're the man.
Right.
You know,
Alpha.
And I tell you what, you don't want her. I knowing you're not going to want her to be that leader.
Oh, yeah.
So fast forward, it did backfire. Yeah, but she went from like trying to figure out who she is, and then she worked really hard with her job, worked really hard. And then fast forward, next thing you know it, she's a boss lady. She's making her own money, doing really well. And it's just crazy. And next thing you know it, that's the leadership he was complaining about at that time.
Wow.
And sometimes the things that we think we want, we really don't need.
Wow.
You get it?
Profound. Yeah.
The things that we always want, that's anything.
That's anything.
That's anything. We always think we want this, but we really don't need it until when we're in that situation, you're like, oh crap, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
And so now you're just screwed, and it just sets you back.
Exactly.
So it just amazes me. Yeah.
So in other words, because we're already on chapter 2 at this point, that story explains, like, it was a great example of a fixed mindset. Like that guy, he wasn't willing to fix anything to make his situation better, setting him up for failure in essence. You know what I'm saying? Constant
blaming, being a victim. I think a lot of people do it. We all know that, right? A lot of people victimize themselves, and those are red flags to me. When I learned from here on out, from my previous, and I always make sure that I listen to him for the first day, the first week, even the first month. What are they victimizing themselves about? Yeah. And it could say a lot about who they are, and if you want to move on with this person. Because if all these red flags are coming out, you might want to go, stop it while it's too late. Right. And I've been there. But see, have you been there? Yeah. So where we overlooked all the red flags.
Here's a huge
Why
red
do we
flag.
do that?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I was in a relationship years ago, and I had a really good relationship with the mom. Okay. And even the mom, straight, because I physically watched him disrespect his mom in my face, and and I was super tight with his mom, like, you know, like super, like,
almost to the point like best friends, right?
We were literally like, and I don't. For some people, they'd be like, "Well, that's not healthy," but at that time, I didn't have a strong relationship with my mom. Actually, I lost my mom. Like, she passed away, so I guess I was seeking that from some other mother figure. And she had a one-on-one conversation with me, and I'll never forget this. And she was like, the way he treats me is exactly how he's going to end up treating you. Ooh. She's like, I love you, and I see so much potential in you. Yeah. You're beautiful. You're well-rounded in every way. And she broke it down to me, and she's like, he's going to prevent you from being who you really want to be. Yeah. And don't allow that disrespect. She's like, if it was me, I wouldn't stick around. I stuck around. Yeah. And because you know how we have all been in those toxic situations where it's like, I got to see it to believe it. Super toxic. Yeah. But it's
crazy. The own mother is really warning you and letting you know, hey, my son can be.
And I could have been like, you know what? I'm going to check out. I'm going to check about what happens. We're in too deep. I'm too invested at this point. I'm so wrapped up in this fake love dynamic that I'm like, okay.
You think it was more the honeymoon stage?
Not even.
Ooh,
I just felt trapped. Okay. No, I didn't feel trapped. I just felt convinced that I really loved this person. Yeah. You know, when you're like, I really love this person, but he really loves me, when it's like straight up so many red flags. So that was like a huge red flag. Never listened to it. Years later, not even, let me not exaggerate. Time went by and I saw it right in my face. He disrespected me left and right, treated me just like his mom, but worse, because we have like a love relationship versus just a mom and son relationship. Yeah. And I still didn't leave.
Why?
I don't even know. I wish I had a good answer for you. Yeah. It's because it's like, I don't know. Like, I just wish I had a really, really good answer. The only thing I could say is I always thought I could make that person change. Oh. You know what? One day he's going to wake up and he's going to value me. Yeah. One day, I'm going to show him how good of a woman I am.
Yeah.
And that if he loses me, it would be the worst mistake. You know, you start convincing all these things like, nah.
A lot of things goes
and
in your
then
head.
it's like, no, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
True story.
Wow.
Hot mess.
Wow. And do you think it's both ways too? Like from a man's side, how a daughter treats her father? Does it go both ways?
Ooh, oh yeah. And I also think how the father treats the daughter is how the daughter ends up treating the man too.
Yeah.
Like it's like a full circle situation going on, right?
Full circle.
Full circle, but it's true.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I think it's really important how, but here's what's ironic.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's what's ironic about everything that I just said is she treated her kids like blank, blank, blank at times. She'll admit it.
Yeah.
She'll say, it sucks to admit, but she's like, I'm seeing how they're treating me. It's not an excuse because wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
And like, you can only use other things as excuses for your behavior. But she's like, I would be a certain way. I would mistreat them. I would talk sideways. She would cuss at them. She used to be a drunk too. Okay. So like she used to drink all the time. You know how like your friend, like you mentioned, alcohol, substance can enhance what you're feeling inside.
Yes.
So I'm not saying you're not going to feel that way when you're sober, but when you're drunk, angry, and someone's cutting you off and you're just and you go off on your kids because you're already triggered, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those kids grow up and they start taking on those traits. Now they're talking to people sideways, man or women. The man comes home, neglects the daughter, talks a certain way.
Yes.
Why do they find themselves dating a man that's a lot like their father, who's a complete like a-hole?
Right.
And then even they said, they're like, why is this cycle? It's like healing like the family trauma that's been, passed down. What is
generation curse.
Like the generational curses that are being passed down.
Yeah.
And it's our job to fix that.
Yeah.
And it's no one else's. It's like if we like, I want to set my future up for success. I don't want my son to have any excuse for why his behavior is sideways coming from me. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do my best. You know what I'm saying?
Because you want the best for your son.
Absolutely,
for your
I
kids.
do.
So you don't want them to repeat that. Because again, you like you said, you want to break the generation curse.
Exactly.
So can you explain more about that, the generation curse? How far does it date back to?
Oh my gosh. It's in a scary way. I didn't even know this until we started doing our due diligence and talking about it. Yeah. It can go as far back as like
a century of your family,
when Jesus Christ. Like literally.
And that's so true.
So like as far back as you can even think of, honestly. Yeah. I don't want to throw numbers out there, but you can go years and years and years back where the trauma that they went through, it could be through war, it could be through slavery, sex trafficking, and and being survivors. It could be people like years that they go through that, and then they go through their life and they have kids, and the kids don't even know why they're taking on here's what's even, I don't want to use the word scarier, but it's the truth. The parent doesn't even have to mistreat you. But when you're born, born with those traumas that was instilled.
Because it's in your DNA.
It's in your DNA. Blood. And that's why I mentioned the scary part is because some of us don't even know that. Because it's like my child could potentially go through certain things and not even know psychologically why they're feeling or acting a certain way through the trauma that's been passed down from generations. And
that's really hard. Like, how do you remedy that? Do you go through a counseling, a therapist, or do they even know what that means? Exactly. A generational curse, right? So I don't know.
And so, with a growth mindset, how do you come out of that?
Okay, with a growth mindset. So that's a resolution. Basically, that's a positive remedy. I would, for my experience, I would start small. I would reevaluate. I would reevaluate everything. Sometimes we need perspective, and how do you get perspective? You need an outlet. So whether it's like riding your bike, going swimming,
you love riding your bike,
walking, being outside in nature in the green.
You can literally just stand barefoot in the grass and just
and ground yourself,
and take deep breaths. Like some of our breathing isn't even on point nowadays, but like
absolutely.
What are other
you okay? Yeah.
What are other things?
Yeah. So it's everyone's different, to be quite honest. I don't think no one doesn't know where to start. That's the thing. No. And what I was alluding earlier, like our friends chose drinking or maybe drugs.
Right. So finding
and so that's a negative. Right. That's a negative resolution, right? That's a
recourse.
Recourse. Yes. Thank you. And so we want to seek positive recourses. How we do that? And does it start from our family? Does it start from our environment?
I think, it's all in one, right?
All in one, right?
I also think whoever you allow, when you're going through a transition, you got to let go of the negative people. Yeah. You can't be over here on a high and like, oh my gosh.
That's a good point.
You could go and ride your bike all day, go for a swim, and you could be, your vibration is just like, it's just oozing out of you. And then you come around your best friends or your family members who are just like, suck all that out of you. And it's like you put in all this effort in
this
become
an energy vampire.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not getting anywhere with that. So if you have to isolate yourself, isolate yourself.
I think it's really hard because people they're like, no, I've been with this friend for so long, or no.
I get it, I've been there.
The thing is, if you really want to move on, if you want to get better, if you want the things that you truly need,
right?
You got to do the work, the inner work. We got to do the inner work, and that also means making sacrifices.
And you know what? But it's a sacrifice for all the best outcomes because you can get rid of your 10 friends. Say you have 10 friends, they're all toxic. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, man, but now I have no friends. Man, I'm gonna go cry in a corner. And then you do all this work. You're healing, you're growing, you're motivating people, you're motivating yourself, you're watching podcasts, you're doing all the things, whatever it is that's gonna help you become your best version of yourself. By doing that, God's gonna bless you by bringing the people in your life that are suitable for your lifestyle. Because why would He bless that other person that's done the work and bring them into your life just so you can bring that out of them? No, that's not how it works. He's going to bring the right people in your life so y'all can grow together, learn together. And that's where you came back in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. I didn't have nobody. We've known each other for a hot minute, as people already know in episode 1.
That's what led to us here, by the way.
Right.
We both went through a breakup, and then, and I don't really talk to a lot of people about, my stuff, and just my closest people. And,
we just
thank God to Jazzy. She's been there for me. And,
likewise.
And I feel like I was just dumping and
he was always like, I'm sorry.
I was like, hey, I'm sorry.
Don't ever apologize. And that's another thing. Yeah. Reevaluate your circle, because for me, a true supporter is going to understand the circumstances that you're in. That's going to root you on for everything that you're doing. That's not going to strip you from your growth. Who's going to want the best for you? Who's going to walk that journey with you? Not have you, pull away from any of the growth that that you've put all this effort into. It's
your progression.
Your progression.
Yes.
Exactly. And so I think at the end of the day, it's just, for me, it's like, if that person doesn't want you to repeat yourself, if like, for example, we were just talking about, if you're like telling me 24/7, like, I'm so sorry, I keep bringing this up, or I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. And I always told you, don't ever apologize. I said, I don't care if you tell me the same thing 15 times today. I will not stop you. You need to let this out of your system. Talking about it is actually the biggest therapy that I've had. Like, because I didn't have a therapist. I didn't pay for anybody. So if you can find someone to just pour that out and feel like you're not going to judge me, that you're not going to get annoyed by what I'm saying, that's...
And by the way, this was like almost a couple years ago, so I'm on a way better energy now.
Oh, 100%. This was like
because at the time,
almost 3 years ago.
When you get out of a relationship, like, that can really hurt you. That can you go through. We all know that pain. It's depressing.
It sucks. You feel lost.
And then
you're trying to find yourself again.
You're trying to build yourself up, and you know what though? Like, I'm glad I went through that. And sometimes you got to let go of the negative for more room for the positive.
100%.
Whether it's in people or other opportunities. So, because I look back now, like, if I had to start over and if I want that person again, I would say no. Yeah. If I had a magic wand of like, hey.
For example, like, when it comes to the dating stages now, which I don't even really date often, it's rare, but I have no patience for anything that I don't feel like is suitable for my life, which is a blessing, right? So if I'm going through a dating stage and I see red flags, I'm quick. I'm quick to cut it off beforehand. I would kind of like, well, let me kind of see. Let me kind of wiggle my way. Let me kind of dance around this or see if I can make this person, bring that best version out of that person.
Yeah.
That's not your job. That is not your job.
Yeah.
That job is for that other person to show you their best qualities, what they can bring to the table. It's not how can I impress this person? I don't walk around trying to impress anybody.
Yeah.
I just am me. I exude my authentic self, which I sheltered for so many years. And then that's another thing. This is a great point. When you go into dating and stuff, it's like you want to be the best version of yourself, which obviously who doesn't want to be? And then you want to act and talk and be a certain way. Yeah. And then you get really deep into that relationship, and then all your true colors come out.
Yes,
and it's like,
that's so true.
Whoa, where did that come from? It just
comes out of nowhere because
and it's like, just be raw, be real, ask the uncomfortable questions. If you want to wear no makeup one day, ladies, don't wear makeup. Don't wear makeup. However, and there's a reason why I'm saying that. Since before years ago, I always felt like I had to impress every man. I couldn't even wake up without putting a full face of makeup on, dressing top tier, because I'm going to attract the right person. No. If I happen to look that way and I attract a certain person, great. But to me, it's like, just be you. If you don't want to be a certain way one day, or however, mix it up.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Because that's actually
you're trying to constantly maintain this image. You're like, well, if they like me this way, well, now I can't switch up on them. Because if I switch up on them, they're not going to like me anymore. You're doing yourself a disservice. You know what I'm saying?
Going back to that fear base again.
Yes.
So, wow. Yeah, that was a lot to unpack.
Right?
Yeah. So, gosh, I got off guard right now.
Right.
So, just more than anything is really, if you truly want like relationship, or you want to be a husband or a wife, I think that you have to become that now, that person. Does that make sense?
So if you want somebody, that's a great point.
Like if you want to be in that relationship, like be that growth mindset, like keep working at it. Keep working on yourself, but at the same time, you're growing. Like every small process is a progression. You don't have to go all big and do all this stuff and go work out and I got to go do this.
So how do you feel about someone who's not? Someone who looks, how do you feel about someone who wants to resort to, like, their outlet is just they work out 24/7 versus someone who's seeking a different type of activity outlet, if that makes sense. I'm not wording that the right way, but someone who is pouring their whole mind, body, and soul into. I'm just bringing this up as because we were talking about this earlier. And then someone who's finding other forms, and how can that be a healthy thing that you could bring to a relationship? Or do you feel like that actually causes destruction, or does that cause problems? Because you know what I'm trying to say?
It depends on the person, though. And it goes what we're talking about, my friend works out, always angry, always blaming, always victimizing, but didn't have any other outlet, but alcohol. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like
you can work out, you can look buff, but if you're not doing the inner work,
because what if the girl say that's all you do, and then the girl you're dating is like, well, I like to go for walks and go do yoga, and I like to
join your girl for a walk and do yoga with her. Okay. It's more like, hey,
I get you.
Brings you closer.
Yeah.
Whatever together. Like you can do together.
Which is a great thing for through the dating stage is like talking about the things that you want out of that person, or because for me, if I love fitness and it's a passion of mine, I'm going to make sure here on out, I'm going to date someone who's just as passionate as me. Yeah. Maybe not, it doesn't have to be just as passionate, but that's something that they align with, so to speak.
Well, and why is it so important to them, So because physical and outlets are two different things.
Exactly.
So, physical, and I mentioned this in my third podcast, by the way, episode 3, like sometimes kids need a burnout and they also need an outlet. They need to do one or the other. Now, if they do both and both hybrid, right? Yeah. They end up making better decisions. It's okay to do both, right? So it's just whatever is important in that person's life. So the reason why I lean, as I get older, I start to lean more outlet because you get more clarity and perspective. Yeah. You can think better. It slows your anxiety.
You have like
your
this
fight or flight. You have
like,
this clarity.
Yeah.
And so when you have a better understanding, when we are all living in perception with all, you know, the work, the drama, the everything, the whole works, right?
Yeah.
And that can really hinder someone's, you know, emotional intelligence. So therefore, we are not making the right decision. We have the outburst or a ticking time bomb, you know, and so that I think is a perfect balance.
I agree.
Again,
I agree.
Right, when you have that outlet, you have a better understanding of that situation where you're not just overreacting, and that's all we do in relationships. We get so comfortable, we yell, we get in each other's skin, under each other's skin.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You get when you say too used to each other. It's like. You don't, some people, and I've been there, you don't give that person enough space. You're like up that person's ass.
Exactly.
Like, how do you expect that person to even breathe or even like have a chance to like gather their thoughts? You made a great point. Yes. So when relationships, when they're like in the moment, it's like, no, I didn't mean to do that. But we're going to talk about this right now and say the man saying, no, I'm about to go to the gym. I'm going to take this out of the gym. No, you're not. You're a weak piece of, you know, instead of just saying, you know what? You're right. Let's give each other that space. Go do you. I'm going to go do me. We'll come back when we calm down. You know what I mean? So we're not sitting here repeating this negative cycle. Because how can you have a pure, clean, healthy conversation when you're here? You know?
You made a good point. I like that. Yeah, because sometimes you do need space, and that's a problem. Because you're smothering each other 24/7. We all been there.
Oh, I've been there.
We all been like, okay, where you at? We're gonna be here.
And I'm just like, geez, I can't even move without you wanting to know my every second. Like,
I think the problem with me when I get in a relationship, like, you know, like everybody else, you give that person your all, your 110, and then you keep giving them and give them that all. But sometimes we need breaks. Sometimes we get tired. Sometimes, like, we need that space. Exactly. And so there's times where I'll go and give them 100 ways. I'll show them 100 ways of love, right? Maybe there's 5 ways of loving someone, but I'll go that far. But then, you know, I beat myself, you know, and kick my tail because I'm like, I need a break. And then when I try to take a break or I need my outlet or my space or, oh, no, you're cheating. Oh, you're doing something. You know, you're doing something wrong because they're not used to that. So, and then I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy.
Right.
So that's why I like giving each other space and more.
It's like essential.
It's essential, you know.
It really is.
Because have you ever been away from someone and they've been on their trip or something and then you miss that person? So you want that. You want to miss that person
exactly. Have
all the time. Like have something to talk about. Like, looking forward to seeing each other.
Exactly.
I think that was beautiful. Rather than always smothering, being each other's throat.
You're like, we don't even know what to talk about because I already know everything that's going on in your life.
Because you're just breaking down.
It's too much.
And it's just end up hurting the relationship.
And it's not even just relationships, guy and girl.
It's just even friendships too. Sometimes you need space from your friends. You know, like, hey, I love you. I love you, bro, but we, you know, like, I'll see you next week, okay, or next 2 weeks,
like,
you know.
Exactly.
So.